everybody, David here, Butler Outdoors. Today we're going to be reviewing a new ground blind from Kalkal Outdoors. They sent me one to test and review, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, David here with Butler Outdoors, doing a review of the new Kalkal ground blind. Kalkal was nice enough to send me one of their new 300-degree ground blinds to test and review. So we're going to be doing that today. Go over some of the things I like about the blind and a few things that I think could be improved. First and foremost, we'll talk about the visibility from the blind. As you can see from the video, visibility out of this blind is phenomenal. I'll give you a quick view. This is the only solid panel in the blind where the door's at. Everything else is their see-through mesh. So you can see for 300 degrees out of this blind with the windows closed. Okay. So that's great. One of my biggest complaints with blinds in general is the lack of visibility. So having that additional visibility is phenomenal. The next thing I really like about the blind is its 6 hubs, 6 sides, which basically makes the blind more of a round shape as opposed to some of your standard 5-hub blinds, which with those 5-hub blinds, you tend to have narrow spots within the blind. Obviously, your biggest diameter measurement's going to be hub to hub. But with those 5-hub styles, you have panels that are protruding in, making that diameter much less, which can be kind of hard for a bow hunter to get drawn back depending on where they're shooting from. This 6 sides, like I said, makes the blind a little more cylinder shaped, so it's much more even as far as diameter around the blind. The next thing I really like about the blind is the windows and how they adjust. I can show you here, every window has this silent slide for the upper portion as well as the lower window. So you can adjust them to wherever you need to, very quietly, in basically a full range of motion. The fabric seems to be fairly thick and durable, so that's something obviously we'll have to wait and see how it stands up to weather and everything, but overall it feels like it's good quality. It also has brush loops, which is another thing I really look for in a blind. Lots of blinds lack the brush loops, and that's just a nice feature to have if you're running and gunning or trying to put a blind up and get it blended in for a pretty quick hunt. Sometimes you don't have all the time to get a blind out weeks ahead of time, so those brush loops do help. And the final thing that I really do like about this blind is the cost. Kalkal has it listed on their website for, I believe, $169, but they're running a deal right now for a 50% off, so you can have this blind for $85 basically, which for $85 it's a heck of a buy. All right, so now for the few things that I would like to see improved on this blind or maybe changed. Not necessarily negatives, but things to note for sure. The door panel. like I said, that is the only solid black panel in the blind. And from somebody who has hunted from ground blinds for many years, being silhouetted in the blind is a huge thing. And with only having this narrow dark panel as a backdrop, I think your chances of getting silhouetted or seen in this blind are pretty high. I would like to see possibly, this panel as well as this one back here, the back half of the blind as being a solid, or even, maybe half of those panels is solid. That way you have a little bit more of a dark backdrop to help break up your silhouette and keep it darker in the blind. As you can probably see, if you can see out, obviously some light is coming in, so it's not super dark in the blind like traditional blinds that are solid material. The next thing I guess I would critique is I love the window system, but the window height seems to not match up very well. So tilt you down here so you can see a little bit better. But essentially the bottom of the lower window in its lowest position is just a couple inches too high for me to shoot my compound bow sitting down from my normal blind chair. Now, this could be overcome if you had a taller chair or if you were a taller individual. I'm about 5'9", and if I'm at full draw with my arm perfectly level, my arrow is pointing right down in here, just a couple inches below that bottom of the blind window. And then on the opposite, with the upper window in its utmost position, if my arm was perfectly level, my arrow would be touching the top of the bottom of the window. Not to mention the roof of the blind is not quite tall enough for me to shoot standing up. I would actually have to crouch down. So the positioning of the windows is not ideal. I even had my 9-year-old son in here to see if he could shoot his crossbow standing up, and again, the crossbow bolt would have been hitting the bottom of this bottom window with him standing up. So that makes it kind of a challenge. So it would be nice if these windows would shift down about 6 inches and just be set for most hunters to be able to shoot sitting down, or youth hunters, small frame hunters could possibly stand up and shoot. But as it is set up currently, that's going to be a challenge. Like I said, you could probably overcome that with an adjustable blind chair to where you could raise the seat up, or maybe modify the window, cut it, do whatever you have to do to get that low enough to shoot out of. My next critique or thing to note is the drip edge here, where your waterproof roof meets this mesh fabric. It actually is set inside the blind, so when it rains, water drips right down inside the edge of the blind. Not a huge deal. I mean, if you're sitting in the blind and not pressed up against the edge and it's raining, you're going to stay dry. But again, another little thing to note, if they took the same material for the roof and extended it down, part way, it would do a better job of keeping the elements outside of the blind. But, as I noted earlier, for $85, I would be more than happy to deal with those few little things. $85 is a steal for a nice ground blind. As far as space, try and set you back here so you can see, but I have about a 6-foot wingspan, so you're probably looking at, you know, maybe 5'9". Yeah, probably about 5'9" in diameter. And as far as the height of the blind, like I said, I'm about 5'9", and you know, I've got probably 4 or 5 inches here. So you're probably looking at a 6 foot, 6'1" height to the center hub. So it's plenty roomy of a blind. For 2 hunters, it should be no problem. Even 2 adults and 1 kid, I think it would probably work out pretty well. Or if you're filming a hunt, there's plenty enough room to have a hunter and then a cameraman in here. So we're going to get this set up here in a few days and hunt out of it, and we'll update you guys on how well it performs actually hunting. Probably my only concern, other than the ones I've stated so far, is this mesh material. I mean, obviously you can see through it. It's going to have air readily passing through it as well. And one thing I use my ground blinds for is areas that have swirling winds or inconsistent winds, because they help contain that scent and don't allow the air to blow through. So it'll be interesting to see how this performs in those areas. But like I said, I will keep you guys updated. All right, guys, here's an outside view of the blind. I've got, let me get these windows a little more adjusted to kind of a hunting scenario. All right. So that's kind of normal how I would have my windows configured when hunting. Having that center one almost all the way open, the bottom half all the way open, and then the 2 on the sides about halfway. But as you can see from this angle, you can see through the blind and then out that other side. And that's what I was talking about the potential of being silhouetted. If you look directly through at that back panel, and if you're tucked back in there in the dark, especially if you're wearing something black, you're not going to be seen. But again, you get off to the side, you can see through it and potentially be silhouetted. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at purchasing a blind like this with that see-through mesh. I think it's a great concept, but it's also going to present some challenges. If you have your blind tucked back in the brush, to where deer can't get really off to the sides, that they're going to be looking straight on, I don't think it'll be an issue at all. We'll give you a quick look around. Like I said, it's got the 6 sides, so you can see how it's much more of a round shape compared to your standard 5 hub blinds. And it does have this nice big door. I've just been using 1 zipper, and it makes it super easy to get in there. But if you're trying to get chairs in, or you have a pack, camera gear, tripods, having a big door like that is so nice. That is one thing that just drives me nuts about a lot of ground blinds, is the fact that their doors are so small. And my backpack's constantly getting hung up on them, or if I have a gun slung over my shoulder, any number of things, it's a pain getting in and out. All right, guys, there you have it. That is the Kalkal 300-degree see-through hunting blind. And I believe that is their next gen camo. You know, and it blends in pretty well out here in the yard with the leaves, but I'm sure if you had it tucked in, brushed in well, it would blend in even better. All right, there you have it.